The Quench, where you ask, we answer.
And we are back. Now, before we went to the break, we tried to analyze friendship and boundaries. We tried to define what friendship is and what boundaries are in the context of friendship. We also looked at how do you know that you're in a toxic friendship. And Pastor Joseph told us that jurisdictions are important. Pastor Kimani told us that we need to understand the intent behind friendships. And before we went for a break, I asked the question, how do you know that you're the toxic friend in a relationship? Have you ever felt like I am not fulfilling the needs of my friend in a relationship? I am not being considerate of their feelings, of what they want. And sometimes have you ever felt that you're overstepping a boundary? Now, let's take this into consideration. Sometimes it's not intentional. I'm going to give a very good example, the example that Felix gave us. This gentleman might have been looking for a job and he decided to come to where Felix was because around there were job opportunities. Right? And because of that regard, Felix felt it is important not to tell him in time, you're overstaying your welcome. You're finishing, you know that meme where someone comes into someone's house and they cook 8 eggs in the morning. And that was budget for the whole week. And you just want to cry because how do you cook and eat 8 eggs in the morning? And you're asking yourself questions. And I would like us to try and understand, how do you know that you're the toxic friend in a relationship? Try and speak it from, have you ever been a toxic friend? Have you ever, let's get it from the audience. Have you ever felt that you are a toxic friend? Just the other day, my friend told me when she's around me, she feels like she's walking on eggshells. Now, to be fair, I was really angry. I was just angry. She'd say hello and I'd be like, why are you helloing me? For what? I mean, what do you want? Good morning. The sun is already up, you know. And this is my friend. So have you ever felt like maybe, let's just be honest, that you are the toxic person in the relationship? Let's get a few examples. Have you ever also met someone who felt like, I felt like I was a toxic person and I wanted to do something about it? Okay,
Steven Mulo. And about toxic friendship, I think to some extent I've been the partaker of that toxicity in the sense that the way I misguide some of my friends,
how do you
but of course it's not intentional.
Yes.
Yeah, it's later on when you realize that I told this on something and it was wrong, so it's not intentional. Yeah, that's the level of toxicity that I've been. Yeah.
I want us to take note of what he has said. I want us to take note of the first thing. When I asked that question, not very many people are willing to give answers to that. And why? Because we are selfish human beings. Secondly, when we actually started giving the answers, we got, I don't think I've ever overstepped on someone's boundaries. And we also got that I realized later on that I had been overstepping on someone's boundaries. The subject is, we are very selfish. We tend not to notice when we are the toxic friends, but we are quick to notice when other people are being the toxic friends. So now the question I want you to ask yourself and think about it as I go to my panelist is, if you were the toxic friend, would you have loved to be told that, hey, you're doing the most? Hey, you're overstepping on my boundaries. Would you have loved to be told, hey, you're so much in my space. Hey, you visit me at the wrong hours. Hey, I don't like you like that. Hey. Would you have loved to hear that? Nice. I like the fact that you're pondering on that factor. Now back to my panelist, Pastor Joseph. I want you to tell us, how do you know that you're the toxic friend? Really, let's just be honest. Sometimes we are the toxic friends.
Number one, if you are Holy Spirit filled, you will know. Even right now.
There's a voice that will start speaking in the back.
No. Okay. Wisdom dictates. For example, even right now, do you know I can overstep your boundaries? Even right now.
Trust me, you can.
Now, of course, in one way or the other, I have, in life, I've overstepped some people's boundaries. And also, there's a friend I had, and one day, she had to call me for a meeting. And that meeting took like 4 hours. She explained to me how I overstepped her boundaries. And because she's a friend.
4 hours?
Yes, for 4 hours.
What did you do? Wait.
You were not concerned.
4 hours?
Of course, she happens to be my wife.
That's the point you forgot to tell us. Now, the hours are even few.
So she happens to be my wife. So the meeting ended at around 2 a.m. So she told me, and I had to listen. Yeah, you know, this and this, this and this. So I had to listen. So it takes humility to accept that even yourself, you can overstep other people's boundaries.
Yes.
Not thinking that only yours can be overstepped. So I had to listen, and I do listen. Even my little children, I do listen. So sometimes we tell you, Dad, you know, this and this and this.
Yes, actually, when it's a relationship of authority, parents and the overstepping of the boundaries is something we should sit and talk about. How parents overstep into your boundaries.
Sure.
It's something we should talk about. I thank you for saying that. And I bet we have a few examples when you felt like someone of authority, could be a teacher, could be a lecturer, could be a parent, overstepped. And we'll get those scenarios. Tell us, how do you know you're the toxic friend?
Yeah, thank you. One, I think I can put 3 different paraphernalias here. One.
Para what?
Oh, situations. Situations.
Yes, okay.
3 situations. One, what or how am I reciprocating to this relationship? How do I respond to that person and that relationship?
Okay.
If I reciprocate in a different way, depending on the intent, and remember we said sometimes back that the only difference between human beings and animals is the ability to think.
Yes.
Human beings, and I believe all of us, we know when we are doing wrong and when we are doing right. Number 2, we all understand that we have the no's and yes. I know when I can say yes and when I can say no.
Yes.
As a human being.
Yeah.
But remember, we all human beings, we have at least 4 opportunities that are given. One, we have strengths.
Okay.
Either I can dictate how I will build my relationship and building boundaries. 2, I have weaknesses. I have to understand that I am also a weak vessel. I can offend the other person. So the ability to ask for forgiveness is necessary.
Okay.
It's vital. The other one is that there are several other opportunities. I can create a good relationship, or I can build it to a better one, or finish it.
Yes.
And the final one is threats. Other people are looking for this friendship, and somebody is out there. If I finish my relationship, somebody else is coming in.
Yeah, and this works even for intimate relationships. Yeah. Pastor Kimani just gave us a SWOT analysis over there, and tells us in friendship you have to do it. You have to understand that you have your strengths and you have your weaknesses. You have to be open. Yeah. Pastor Joseph said the Holy Spirit, and he said humility, a gift of the Holy Spirit, right? Yeah, when you are humble enough, you will notice when you are overstepping. And if you don't notice, you will be open to hearing it. And the people around you will notice that you're open to hearing that you are overstepping. Now, we talked about a point of authority. And I want to hear a few examples when you felt a parent or a figure of authority was overstepping in your boundary. You know that time when you got your first phone, and someone was busy going through your messages to see who you're talking to and what you're telling them? Tell me about that. Tell me about it. And I want to start with you. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
So my name is Grace. And actually, the moment you mentioned that in the first time, I had a scenario. My friend's mom, they usually visit her a lot. And I have several of them. So the moment they come home, they're like, you've become so big. When are you finishing school? When are you doing this? When are you doing that? A lot of questions. And I'm not usually comfortable, answering such kinds of questions, but they persist. When are you doing this? And if you don't respond, they'll go and tell your mom, your daughter is very disrespectful.
She's rude.
She's arrogant. She went to school and became this and that and that. And so I feel it's a lot of pressure for me starting to explain those personal things to these friends of my mom. I don't even know them, but not because they've come to my mom. They're like, do this, do that, do that. And I honestly feel a lot of pressure. And I wish I could tell my mom, please don't invite those friends of yours. But I can't do that. So I feel they overstep my boundaries with all those questions,
And such questions are very common. I don't know if I speak for most of us when I say that parents, by parents, I mean the whole community, because we are children of the community, they tend to ask questions that you don't have answers to. Like, what are you doing with your life? Where is this course taking you? Questions that you don't even want to talk about at the time because they frustrate you just to think about them. Pastors overstep. Come on, you people, tell me, how do they overstep? Come on. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Ruth. Okay, this is a scenario of my friend. She was planning to get married to somebody else, but there goes the pastor. She's introducing the person to the pastor. Then the pastor says, no, you cannot do that. It's better you stay single or you look for someone else. So in some cases, you find that the pastor is overstepping on love issues. Like she has chosen that one, but then the pastor says no.
You can imagine. You can imagine a scenario. You have found the one. And the way the streets are hard, you have struggled. You have found the one. And now even after the whole struggle, someone says no. I mean, is it really fair for someone to say no at such a point? So how do we deal with subjects of authority overstepping in our issues? Now, I know you're going to say they had the best things at heart, yeah? I'm pretty sure the friends of the mother had the best at heart, yeah? When I meet up with the friends of my mother and they're praying for me, I know they have the best, they're wishing the best for me. But sometimes it's a bit too much. It's a bit too much, especially because you feel like you have to reach standards that they have set for you that are not necessarily standards for you. So how do you deal with the subject of authority overstepping?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say, to answer my sister there, sometimes it's good we understand the friends of our parents. Just understanding them. Because sometimes, it's like a culture. It's their way of life. Like when I visit you, I will ask you, oh, wow, you look big. I'm not saying you look fat or you look, you're big, you're beautiful. How is your life? But then I'm very okay. I'm genuine. I'm very, it's a way of life. It's an African setup somehow. So number one, I'm not saying parents or friends of parents are supposed to overstep, but I'm saying at least even us, we are supposed at least to try and understand them.
To be a bit open-minded.
Yeah. On the case of my sister there at the back, the case of pastors maybe saying no. Sometimes it is good to ask yourself, because maybe I know the gentleman you are bringing to me, I know him very well. Most likely he is a thug.
No.
Or he's somebody who
is,
or is a divorcee, had divorced several ladies. And I've brought you up from Sunday school, up to where you are right now. By the way, as for me, being Pastor MJ, I will not let you enter into a ditch. I'll make sure, I'll tell you, if you're not going to obey, fine. And in many cases, we do that as pastors. And ladies go ahead and they get married. After some time, she come crying to you, oh, Pastor, I was beaten. I don't know.
Experience is the best teacher. Just let them experience it.
So in many cases, in many cases, if you hear a pastor or a parent telling in 90%, she knows or he knows why he is telling you that way. Leave this person. Because he is thinking the best for you.
I feel
he has the best at heart for you. That's what I'd like to say.
Thank you. I want to add value to what Pastor is saying. That remember, anybody in authority might have other avenues of sourcing information. And remember that all of us, we have information, but depending on who delivers the information. And it can happen anyway. It can happen. So when you are cautioned, I think that is a matter of caution. It's caution. Because it can happen. You can find that somebody, like we have a good rapport with doctors, and we have referred you to a certain practitioner for medical checkup. And then somebody brings a report, and then we understand that there is something wrong. That information is relayed. Same case to authorities. When a person in authority relays a certain information, definitely must be relied on. In some cases, in this incident, I have been one of the administrators for several years. And this is what I have noted, that there are other people who come to report about you. Somebody comes to report about the other person. So we have other information or other sources of information, like what is happening currently on the ground. si kuna ile tunasema things are different on the ground.
Yeah.
The information comes to the authority, the person there, by virtue that that person could, the person in authority could be having somebody with a reliable information, and comes and tells you that this person, there is something ABCD and doing, they are doing. They are planning for sabotage. Like I remember one time, one of my vehicles several years ago in 1999, somebody decided to put some salt into the engine so that in a knock, so the engine could not function normally.
Okay.
And once it was done, before it was done, somebody gave me the information and told me, Muse, somebody is planning ABCD. Then I called that person. I told him, I want to promote you from today.
Okay.
So immediately I realized that there is always that information which reaches the authority before you go.
But
Number two, and I finish on this. Always the heart grieves what the eyes see, not what we hear. The eyes must grieve. So what you see most must be of great value than what you hear. I think that's what I say.
But I
You can
feel
hear
like
negative.
let's put a point. Sometimes authorities interrupt us. They overstep when they want to offer the best. But sometimes they might not really know what the best is, and sometimes they might be actually overstepping. Like, why would your parents go through your phone? Why would your parents see the need to go through your things like that? You know, there must be some sort of trust issues that are going on for it to reach such levels of overstepping. And what do you do in such scenarios? I would say, tell the truth. Okay? Yeah. Say it, this lady. Thank you for asking with all humility given. Thank you for asking with all the politeness in the world. I am thankful. I am okay. I'm doing this and this, but don't be asking me this because it stresses me. Don't be asking me this because it stresses me in the most polite way possible, if you know this person now. Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for today. And today we have been trying to discuss friendship and boundaries. And Pastor Kimani and Pastor Joseph have tried their best to analyze this situation. They have given us advice on how to know you are the toxic friend and what to do when you face such kind of overstepping in boundaries. We have also tried to understand what to do when an authority is overstepping in your boundary. And something Pastor Joseph has said, know your community. I'd also add, know your friend. Know every person that you're dealing with, okay? And use wisdom, to echo his words again. Sure. Be a wise person. Because your friends define the amount of time you get to spend on this world. They are the people you interact with every single day. They define you. It's about time when you start putting across your boundaries. That's all the time we have for today. My name is Wangeshi Karemi, and this is The Quench, where you ask and we answer. Thank you.
The Quench, where you ask, we answer.